do you feel imposter syndrome is impacting you negatively at work? Don't give up. There is a solution. I'll illustrate where imposter syndrome comes from and show you 5 ways how to overcome and deal with imposter syndrome at work. Hi, my name is Katja Cahoon and I'm a psychotherapist. Many famous people suffer from imposter syndrome, and chances are there are people around you at work or in your personal life that deal with imposter syndrome as well. You are not alone, and it's really important to understand that, because often we can feel we're the only ones dealing with imposter syndrome while everybody else is just fine and great and confident inside. But that's actually not true. So let's break it down. I'll showcase 3 clients to help you understand some of the key reasons for imposter syndrome at work. And then we'll talk about 5 ways to deal with imposter syndrome at work. And make sure to stay tuned until the end, because I'll share my very personal hack, how I deal with my own imposter syndrome that sometimes rears its ugly head. All right, so first of all, imposter syndrome is the pervasive sense that you don't belong, that you are a fraud, and that somehow you ended up in this job or position by sheer luck or coincidence, and really you're sort of living on borrowed time until they find out who you really are and what you really are, a fraud underneath it all. So let's start with the feeling that you don't belong. I worked with an incredibly smart and accomplished woman who was biracial in a male-dominated industry. So all her life she'd grown up feeling that she does not quite belong anywhere, really. And now at work, this was exasperated because she was one of very few women. And then she also looked different than the guys around her. So she had this constant sense of not belonging, of somehow faking it, even though she was really excellent at her job and had advanced very far already in the organization and in her industry in general. So this is a common fact in imposter syndrome, the sense that you're not belonging, and it makes sense. If you're the first one in your family to go to college, or the first one in a white-collar job, or in an industry where you don't look like or not the same gender as most people around you, that really is real and it's understandable. Second, I worked with another client who was also very accomplished and who suffered from anxiety, and his particular sense of imposter syndrome came from the idea that everybody else was fine. He felt kind of like he was on the verge of breakdown internally, but everybody else around him looked fine. So he was comparing his insides to other people's outsides. While at the same time, when we broke it down and looked into it, he actually appeared very confident. He had put up a great front and had a very professional persona. So it was really an internal sense of being the only one and everybody else is doing fine while you feel you're the only one struggling. So another client had grown up she had to be very responsible as a child. She had to really act above her pay grade. She had to do things that were developmentally really not appropriate from a young age on. She had a lot of household chores and she had to take care of younger siblings and at times even her parents' emotional needs. As a result, she became extremely competent. She was very accomplished. She was very resilient. She was sort of had this can-do attitude, and whatever she tackled, she could do. But inside, she had this constant sense of failure, that she was always kind of faking it, and that she could never really quite get it. And that came from this sense of having to do things that she really wasn't set up to do when she was younger. So all 3 of them had in common that they felt limited by this imposter syndrome, by the sense of not belonging, and it impacted their ability to speak up, to progress, to truly shine, or to feel good about themselves at work and what they had accomplished and who they were professionally. So how did they address this? Here are 5 ways to deal with imposter syndrome at work. So first of all, recognize what is happening and what has led to this underlying sense of not belonging, of feeling like a fake or a fraud. I've given some key reasons, and understanding really is the first step that unlocks all the other steps. So look back and ask yourself, okay, what has led to this sense of imposter syndrome? What has contributed to it? Why am I feeling this way? So there is always a reason. No one is born with imposter syndrome, right? There is always a reason for that. This is something that we acquire somewhere along the way, and then it stays with us. So understanding that is important. And if you made it to your job, you belong. That's really important to reiterate. Your history, your background, your story is what it is. If you made it, you belong. And focusing on that is really important. Focusing on what makes you valuable, your strengths, your skills. I'll come back to that one. So first of all, just understand and then validate, hey, there's a reason why I'm feeling this way. Validation is really, really important. It says, hey, I get it, I understand it, I'm working on it. Versus what we often do, which is to say, I shouldn't feel this way, why am I feeling this way, don't feel this way. And that actually blocks us to any kind of productive or helpful approach to the challenge we're dealing with. Second, now that you've uncovered some of these reasons, make sure to connect with others in your situation, whether that's a group of people, a professional organization, or a mentor, someone who can help you, perhaps even a coach, someone who can understand you, who supports you when you're dealing with imposter syndrome, who importantly can remind you of your strengths and your skills. Imposter syndrome can make us a bit blind to our strengths. We're overly focused on weaknesses or perceived weaknesses. So someone who can help you broaden perspective and remind you is really key. That person can also help you with common struggles for people with imposter syndrome, like performance reviews, speaking up, perhaps giving presentations or other sort of high performance, high stress situations. They can coach you through that or help you, remind you of who you are and what you're good about, or what is good about you. Third and related, move from the rim to the hub. What does that mean? Well, picture a wheel. Now, so we have the rim and then we have the hub. If you're at the hub of the wheel, you have a very broad perspective. You can see every aspect of the wheel, all the different parts of the rim. And that means you can see your strengths, your skills, your talents, areas of improvement, your accomplishments, areas where maybe you haven't done so well. So you have a very broad, comprehensive perspective of yourself. If you're at the rim, which is what happens to people with imposter syndrome, you see this one tiny area on the rim, perhaps a mistake you made or where you've fallen short or some kind of flaw, whether perceived or real. So you have this very narrow vision. All you see is that, and that just hones you in to a weakness. And usually when people are on the rim, they're not focusing on something that they've done well. It's just like, oh, this is this one thing I've sucked at. So everything else is negated. Move from the rim to the hub. Maybe even have a wheel somewhere near where you work, where you list all your talents, your skills. I did this with an engineer I worked with once who struggled in one area of his job description or his job. So he was so focused on this one area. And then he had, when we moved to the hub, he had all these other areas where he was actually really good. In some cases had some unique skills and talents. But whenever he moved to the rim, he completely forgot about those. And he felt terrible. He felt like, he even said to me in one session, you know what, I'm not even an engineer anymore. Now, when we moved back to the hub, he's like, oh, hang on a second. Okay, I guess I am. So, and this credit here goes to Dr. Daniel Siegel, who describes this beautiful metaphor in his book, The Whole Brain Child. And this tool is not just for children. It's really, really great. Fourth, building on the previous tool, imposter syndrome can lead you to being very focused on the negative. So asking better questions is a really helpful tool. What are better questions? Well, let's start with questions that are not so good. For example, Why am I bad at this? Why do I suck? Why am I not better? Why do I feel this way? All those questions don't have very good or empowering answers if you think about it. Better questions, and again here, a coach can help you with that, or a friend or a mentor or a trusted colleague, are, for example, what am I good at? What unique skills, talents am I bringing to the project, the team, the company, the organization? How does my unique background make me a valuable team member? What do I bring that's unique or different or special? So you get the drift that these questions now you get much more empowered and good answers. And related to that, a lot of people with imposter syndrome struggle with the sense that they can't talk about their accomplishments, or they don't want to because they feel they're not real. Or if they do, somebody will go, no, I don't think so. No, I know who you are. So that's actually really important because that's how you position yourself, right? Or in performance reviews and so on, you really want to be able to showcase your abilities. So here's a very simple statement. If it's true, it ain't bragging. Yeah, so this is where moving from the rim to the hub is important, having a mentor, asking better questions, because now you can look at, what am I good at and how can I showcase that? And it's not showing off. It's not bragging, right? So you're just simply saying, this is what I contributed. This is what I'm good at. And that's not bragging. That's just making a statement and talking about the facts. And again, you have to be able to see the facts because often, as I said previously, imposter syndrome makes us kind of blind to that. Good. So let's briefly talk about my own personal hack that I think has helped me a lot. So I recently started this YouTube channel because my goal is to put some videos out for a broader audience. And I was really sort of dragging my feet and I just wasn't taking action. And I checked in with my body. I'm like, I'm feeling like I'm procrastinating. Why am I procrastinating? Because I'm anxious. Why am I anxious? Because I feel like, I have nothing to contribute. Everything has already been said. Who am I? Imposter syndrome, right? Sounds familiar? So I kind of got still with that. And I asked myself, all right, what do I need to do or to focus on instead so that I can take action on my goals? And what came to me is that the question, how can I be of service? Yeah, and I have a goal with these videos that if just one person gets something out of it, it's a success and I've met my goal. So I refocused on my goal, on meaning, on this idea of being of service, which takes me out of my own mind and focus on me to focus on others, focus on what I can do for others. And boom, here I am recording videos. So that really worked for me. And if you are the one person who got something out of it, thank you for watching. I appreciate you being here and listening to this. And remember, you belong.